Hey, what's up guys? I'm gonna be shooting a little video showing some tips and tricks on metal fabrication, on fixing body panels on motorcycles, or could even be used in cars. Just some of the tips and stuff that I've learned. I've been doing sheet metal fabrication for about almost 2 years now. So figured I'd show a little bit of a few tricks you guys at home can learn how to do it. So I know there's tons of videos out there already and stuff, but I plan on covering a few things that I know I haven't seen before. So yeah, I'll show you. Got the rear fender off of my 1973 Harley Davidson FLH. So what we're going to be doing is fixing some cracks and stuff like that. They've got the old taillight mount. We're going to be shaving that and filling all this in. They've got the old holes for, I think, the stop lights or the turn signals. So we're going to be filling those in too. I think what I'm going to do is just make one panel to fill in all this and just cut it all out and weld the new one in. So we'll show a little bit, maybe English rolling, shrinking, stretching. Here's those cracks I was telling you about. There's an inner brace inside the fender that spot welds to it, and so we're going to need to remove that first. Same with this panel, it's spot welds along here, so we're going to need to pop out these spot welds too to get that piece out. So when we're test fitting the new piece that we're going to make, it'll lay flat on there and we can tell that if it's fitting right or not. For punching the spot welds out, first you got to mark a hole. So you could use a standard solid punch or solid chisel and a hammer, but for doing sheet metal I find that these auto punches work the best. This is a Starrett. It says it's about top of the line, one of the top of the line ones, but you can buy them at Harbor Freight for $2 or $3. This one's probably from the 70s, so, but it's got a spring-loaded tip, so you push it down. You can hear it pop. It just makes a little divot, place for your drill bit to start. So okay, you see there's a spot weld here, 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 and there's two over here, and then there's one up top here and one here. There might be one in the center. I'm not sure yet. We'll just have to wait and see. But a lot of times when doing cars and stuff, you can't see the spot welds from all the years of paint and everything like that. A lot of times it's a lot harder, so you just take your finger and run it across and you can usually feel them. And once you do, you just find the center or guesstimate it and center punch it. So I do that. I try and do it a couple of times. It makes it a lot easier to drill. So I'll take and do that and we'll get to cutting. Alrighty, be cutting these spot welds. We're going to be using this. It's Matco Tools sheet metal cutters. Anyways, things like this kit comes in all different sizes, all the way from 5/16 to 3/4 inch. You get some extra little tips. It's got a spring-loaded tip in the end. So it's like a little hole saw, almost. And these things work awesome. They're worth twice their weight in gold. Bit pricey if you buy them from Matco. I don't even know what Snap-on's price is on them, if they even make them. I'm sure they'd be a bit more than Matco, but they're awesome. It's got these changeable arbors and stuff. You can buy new bits. But yeah, you just chuck one of these up in the drill and start cutting away. You can usually tell if you've gotten through the first panel if you start to see like a little rust cloud come out with the metal chips. That of course only happens if the panel you're working on is older, but they get water in between the two layers and they start to rust. So you look right there, you can see all the orange.
Yeah, I did that.
Alrighty, brought the fender up to my work just because I got a few more tools up here than I do at home. So that piece out of there now. I didn't bother trimming the support brace out from behind the license plate mount just because it's flat already and it won't get in the way of test fitting the new panel. So simple ruler, new piece will measure about 9 inches tall and about 7 inches wide. So now we can rough cut out a patch panel and start making it. Alrighty, measuring here, the flatter portion of the fender, right before it starts to really roll off, measuring side to side, it's about 6 inches. So since our patch panel is about 7 inches wide, is what we need it to be, it's a difference of 1 inch. So 1/2 inch on both sides. So I already took and marked a line down both sides of my panel, and we're start rolling these edges over to fit the contour of the fender. We've got a dolly set up in the bench vise. Contour of it's roughly about the same as the radius on the sides of the fender where it curls down. We've also got a plastic tip mallet, and we're just going to start feeding the lip of the patch panel over up until you reach to that line, and then you're going to stop. So just get to work. And just like that, we have a nice radiused edge. Repeat it on the other side, and we're ready to start doing some more shaping to it. So our patch panel now, you can tell it's nowhere close to being finished. It still likes to teeter-totter because it's flat and the fender's obviously curved. What we're going to do is we're going to take it to the shrinker. We're going to shrink this edge on both sides. We're going to get to follow the contour. We're just going to shrink and dink her until she fits the fender a little better. Don't want to go into the fender too far deep, at least not past that line we originally scribed for the center or the side radius. So you can see we're starting to get a curve to it. It's pulling that metal all together. It's got little jaws inside of it with teeth, and they bite down on the metal and they push it together. And then you let off and they come back apart, and they bite down in the middle and they push it together. And it pushes it in on itself and it forces it together. Therefore shrinking it. Now the panel's fitting a little better. Contour wise, this way it's about the same. The sides still aren't touching though to the actual fender. And the reason for that is because the center here is still flat. It doesn't have any radius to it. So what we're going to do is we're going to take and put it in the English wheel, and that'll give us a bit more contour. It'll stretch it. This is an English wheel. You know, the top wheel on them is always flat. Sometimes they've got a urethane band on them or something like that, but most instances they're just a flat metal wheel. Bottom wheel. You want to find the wheel that's the most closest contour to what you're working on. If you can't find one that's closest, with a little bit of skill and a little bit of know-how, you can make one with a tighter radius work. But if it's flatter, then it'll never work because you'll get the dimples from the corners of the wheels. But got them PB blaster on the wheels, make them a little bit cleaner. These have a bit of surface rust on. I don't know when the last time this thing was used, but it shouldn't affect too bad. It's not that bad. So let's get to wheeling. It's got a little wheel down here, and it adjusts the pressure of the bottom wheel up against the top wheel. We're going to start out with about medium light pressure. You're going to zigzag across it, kind of like you're cutting your grass. things take a lot of patience and a lot of time behind them to get the hang of using one. But when you do get the hang of it, you can make just about anything you want. Now on a very complicated panel, you'd want to use like a contour gauge or something like that, or you can make a wooden buck to lay the metal on as you're making it to make sure that's going to be the right shape. In this instance, small enough panel, eyeballing's good enough. Sometimes you gotta give it a little tweak. Now, if you see the panel, sit the ruler on it. It's got shape to it, side to side now, whereas before it was flat. That's what the English wheel's for. It wants to stretch the metal. So, if you're ever using it, you can see that PB blaster on there, dirty blaster, and kind of see the zigzag pattern like a lawnmower. Keep them tight knit. Takes a bit of getting used to. Take a look now. It's starting to feel a lot closer. Got a lot less teeter-tottering back and forth. So you just want to keep test fitting, keep trying to get it just right. Got the patch panel where it's sitting on there, nice and flat. Only thing left, these edges are still sticking out. Because when you English wheel it, wants to spread it all up and wants to flatten these out, and sometimes you get too far over on the English wheel and it flattens those curves back out. But it gave us an area to shrink and it didn't take that long to do, so I'll show you how to use the English wheel. You can actually put a radiused edge on it with an English wheel. What we're going to do, we're going to take and lower down this bottom anvil wheel enough to where you can slide it out. You take a look, that was the one I was using. It's about a medium crown wheel. These metal ace small wheels, they typically only come about 3 wheels. But here, I'll show you. You take a little dowel pin out of the center of it, a little locator pin or a riding pin. This is another wheel. It's got a higher crown, a lot higher crown. Take and slide it in. Pop her on up in the old English wheel there. Take some Astro Glide. Just spray it on there. Like spin the wheel over the rag. Alright. Then what we're going to do, take and crank this wheel up till the edge, right about where you want that bead to be, or panel start curving. And what you're going to do is when you push it through, it doesn't even have to be that heavy of pressure right now, but when you push it through it at the same time, damn it, same time, you're going to push down on this side of the panel. So I can show you real quick. So you just want to apply even uniform force to the side of the panel that's not going through the machine. I'll take and do it one more time. I'll take and hold it. and push it in, and it'll take the shape of the English wheel. A little bit more tweaking and stuff on the English wheel. A nice uniform patch panel. Test fitting it on there. Fits pretty nice and snug. A couple small little gaps here where it's raised up. That's also because it's dimpled where the old turn signals used to be mounted. So it's best to get it as close as possible with the English wheel and everything like that. Once you actually get it welded in and everything, the closer it is before you weld it in, the easier it'll make to weld in, and it's the less metal finishing you gotta do later. But if it's slightly off, there's no big deal, especially something like this. No one's gonna be able to tell. And you can take, and once it's welded in, you can take and hammer and dolly on it and make it perfectly smooth. Alright, when doing patch panels like this, a real easy way to mark it, not with a Sharpie. You can get away with it, but a lot of times you're marking something and it doesn't mark exactly on the edge. So, a good way to do it is if you got Dykem. It's a marking fluid, it dyes the metal and you can scratch it off and mark where you need to. I got Dykem. So we're going to do it cheap way, some good old Rust-Oleum spray paint. Just a light dusting is really all you need. At least in the areas that you know patch is going to go. Doesn't have to be anything pretty, but it'll work. Alrighty, you got that spray paint on. I'm gonna take this weird looking little dental pick looking thing. Anything sharp works, a fine point. I've got the Fender panel. I got the old one cut out, and then I took some acetone and I cleaned the paint off that we used to scribe with, and then I placed the new panel in. It's not a perfect matchup, but a little hammer and dolly work won't hurt. Somehow I got a little dinger right there, a little flat spot, but and like I said, it'll all be hammered out in the end. It's got pretty tight down here, so I'll take and lift it up a little bit, try and close this small hairline gap up here, at least split the difference. So yeah, let's get her tacked in, and then I'll show you what to do from there. Alrighty, got the panel all tack welded in, fairly smooth. Went around and hammered and dollied the edges to line everything back up, and we'll get ready for final welding. Alrighty, here you can see starting to weld it up. They don't gotta look pretty, they're gonna get ground down. You're gonna do it in short little pieces. You're gonna bounce around. So there's a space right there and everything. And if you look, actually, you can see where the heat lines kind of That's because each one of those is a separate weld. Like I welded from there to there, stop, bounce around. When I got back to it, went from there to there, bounced around, from there to there. You want to keep bouncing around. It'll keep work goods down to a minimum. You're not going to be able to completely keep it from warping. A panel like this, where it's got a fair amount of shape into it, they don't tend to warp as much, but it'll still warp. Alrighty, you boobs. I'm not gonna get real crazy into showing how to do like hammer and dolly work because I could spend a whole day on that. So yeah, I'll tell you one tip that I like to do. After you get it all welded up and everything like that, I go through and I give it a light hammer and dolly work around it, just around the seam, kind of help flatten things out. And a good way to tell where your highs and lows are, you take your little air grinder and just kind of You just kind of go across it real quick and you'll see where the panels have sucked down like that. You just kind of lightly hit it. That was 36 grit. Just go over it lightly like that until it scuffs the surface, kind of knocks the top of the weld down a little bit. And then you can go back in and hammer that down and grind it and repeat until it's nice and smooth. Got it all ground down and hammered smooth. See these little dots and stuff everywhere. It's a little hammer and dolly work. Just kind of smooth things out. Yeah. So I like to get as close to possible, as little as Bondo as possible. I don't got a planishing hammer or anything like that, anything fancy, just some basic old hand tools. So what I'm going to do next, just to make it look nice, got a scotch brite, or this is 60 grit sandpaper, just a quick lock, and then hit it with some scotch brite. Should look all smooth. Fender's ready to bolt back on. Didn't turn out too bad. We're gonna bolt her back on because I'm doing some more fabrication stuff on the bike, so I like to keep it all together until final tear down for paint. Got the fender bolted back on, and she's looking pretty good. So might be making some more videos of some other fabrication stuff we're gonna be doing, a lot of custom stuff. So stay tuned, should be pretty good.